hot and salty, slid down my cheeks and into my mouth. Promise me. Be happy. For me. And be careful. She nodded as if to remind me of a past agreement between us. Be careful, Rosanne. Promise. Mama, don't. Promise. A sob clawed its way out of my mouth as I spit out the words. I promise. Love. You. I don't know if she heard me say I loved her, too. The moments after she left me seemed at the time made of the thinnest of tissue paper. I remember being allowed to sit with Mama after she'd passed. I remember being told my father and brother had been taken to the morgue straight from the crash, and that I'd have to say goodbye to them in my heart. And then I was meeting Mrs. Grissom, a woman from the county who'd arrived at the hospital sometime during that stretch of shapeless minutes. She'd asked Celine, who had brought me to the hospital, if she knew of any next of kin who could take me in. There weren't any. She'd asked if Celine would please consider speaking to Mr. Calvert about the two of them taking on the role of legal guardians for me, since I'd lived the entirety of my 16 years on their property anyway. The county had a terrible shortage of foster families willing to take older children, and the nearest orphanages were full. It wouldn't have to be for forever, just for the time being. And they had already raised their son, Wilson, so they had experience. The two women were speaking in the hallway, just outside the room where I sat with my mother's body. I couldn't see Celine's face, but I could sense her hesitation. Oh, I suppose, Celine finally said. I guess that makes sense. Truman and I do have that bedroom off the kitchen available. The poor thing can stay with us, at least for now. And Eunice Grissom said she'd approve the emergency placement that very day so that I could return home with Celine, and the rest of the paperwork could follow. I've only seen Mrs. Grissom twice since then. Once 2 days after my family was laid to rest. Celine and Truman had paid for the arrangements and the simple headstones, and a few weeks later when she came by to let the Calverts know the temporary guardianship had been approved. And now, Mrs. Grissom is here again. I hear her step farther into the house and closer to where I wait in the little room beyond the kitchen. I'm so very sad and disappointed about all this, Mrs. Grissom says. And dear, I thought it had been going so well here for all of you. Yes, it's very sad. Celine's voice is toneless. Extremely disappointing. I've been asking a lot of questions on my end since your visit with me on Tuesday, and it seems everyone I've talked to agrees, Mrs. Grissom says, if what you're saying is true. I assure you, it's true. Well then, Mrs. Grissom says, we will leave this with those who can help her best. Yes, Celine replies. Wait right here. I'll get her. A home for unwed mothers, then. That's where I'm headed, since apparently no one else will take me the way I am. 17. Orphaned. Pregnant. At least it will be a home. At least it will be a place where this tiny life inside me will be protected. It scares me a little how much I am already starting to care for it. This child is the only family I have now. Surely some unwed mothers are allowed to keep their babies. Surely some do. The sound of